Video is for Chapter 5, Lesson 5, entitled Slope. Our essential question, how can you compare two rates graphically? So by looking at their graphs is what we're going to be looking at here. We're going to be looking at a line on a graph, and we're going to talk about its slope, how steep that line is. Think about when you go skiing, you're going down a hill, you're sloping down, you're skiing down that hill. That hill has a slope. Some hills are steeper than others, therefore their slope is steeper. That's what we're going to be looking at here, how slanted a line is, what the slope of a line is. So we've got the definition of slope there. Slope is the rate of change of a line. It tells us the steepness of the line, right? And if you look at your key idea, and please copy in that vocabulary, while you're doing that, looking at that key idea, it's repeating what slope is. Slope is the rate of change between any 2 points on a line. It is a measure of the steepness. And then it gives you how to find the slope of a line. To find the slope of a line, find the ratio. So it's a fraction, it's a ratio, of the change in y, which is your vertical change, to your change in x, which is your horizontal change, because remember your y is your vertical axis and x is your horizontal axis. So slope is change in y over change in x. And we can do it two different ways. We can do it by just looking at the graph and finding 2 points on that line. You can see the 2 points there. And vertically, to get from one point to the other, you can see that 1, 2, 3 boxes was the change vertically. And if you count over 2 boxes, that's your change horizontally. And it's always vertical over horizontal, or y over x. That's why they have 3 over 2. So you can do it by counting boxes on your graph, which is really only good if your graph has exact numbers. Like we weren't in between a box here that we wouldn't know exactly what the actual number was. These guys were exact numbers. This was definitely at 2, and this one was definitely at 4, so it was easy to do. Another way of doing it, to find your change in y, you're going to subtract 2 y values. We're going to call it y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, So that's really just taking the change in your y values of an ordered pair and the change in your x values of another ordered pair. So let's look at that example and do that. We should still end up with 3 over 2 as our answer. This first point right here, its ordered pair was that they went right 2 and up 3. So 2, 3 would be an ordered pair of that first dot, and this dot higher up, they went right 4 and up 6, so its ordered pair would be 4, 6. So I'm going to take those ordered pairs and apply it to the definition of slope, change in y over change in x. So remember, in an ordered pair, x always comes first. This is x, this is y. This is x, this is y. So we have 2 x's and 2 y's, which is why we have those subscripts in the formula. So let's call this first set x1 and y1, and our second ordered pair can be x2 and y2. And we're just going to substitute those values into the formula. So y2 is 6, so we're going to do 6 minus y1, which was 3, over x2, which was 4, minus x1, which was 2. What I want you to notice, which is super important, is that your ordered pairs are actually sitting on top of each other. See, 6, 4 came from this ordered pair, and 3, 2 came from that ordered pair. If those ordered pairs are not sitting on top of each other, you did not plug them in correctly. So going back to the subtraction, 6 minus 3 is 3, and 4 minus 2 is 2. And notice that that matches your answer that we got from counting on the graph, your vertical and your horizontal changes. So let's look at another example of that, and we can do it both ways. In example A, our change in y, going from this point here down to this point here, we can see that there's a change of 4, and horizontally we've got a change of 3. It's always vertical over horizontal, so that would be 4 over 3. You also can see your ordered pairs that they gave you here. So if I want to do it by y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, we could do that as well. So let's call this my first ordered pair, and this is my second. So if I do 0 minus 4 over 0 minus 3, notice 0, 0 is an ordered pair, and 4, 3 came from the same ordered pair, so they're sitting on top of each other, so we know we're good. So 0 minus 4 would be a negative 4, and 0 minus 3 would be a negative 3. And what happens when you have two negatives? Two negatives divided by each other are actually positive. So again, we end up with 4 over 3, which is the same answer. If I set it up differently, if I called this my second ordered pair and this my first ordered pair, it's not going to change. Then I would be doing 4 minus 0 over 3 minus 0, and that's still going to give me 4 over 3. So we end up with the same answer no matter what. In part B, we can see that there is a vertical change of 3 and a horizontal change of 6, making our slope 3 over 6. And we can actually simplify that because 3 and 6 are both divisible by 3. And therefore that would give me 1 over 2. All right, we see our ordered pairs here, -2, -2, and 4, 1. We'll call this our first ordered pair and our second ordered pair. So y2 would be 1 minus y1, which is a -2, over 4 x1, or sorry, x2, minus -2 again. We've got to follow those integer rules for subtraction, which would be keep, change, opposite, down at the top and the bottom. So it actually becomes 1 plus 2, which is 3, and 4 plus 2, which is 6, and 3 over 6 again simplifies to 1/2. And you would end up with the same answer if we flipped it, if we did -2 minus 1 over -2 minus 4, you'd still end up with the same answer. So if you look at the on your own problems, you're going to try to find your slope for those. So number 1 would be easy doing it both ways, either counting your boxes vertically and horizontally, or doing your subtraction. But notice in number 2, you have to be careful because they are in between some boxes here. However, you can see on the y-axis how it's labeled, so you are going from a 5 up to an 8, so you can figure out what that change is. You just can't count boxes here. And then you're going from a 1 to a 2, so you can count that box. So you just have to be careful on that vertical change there in number 2. I'd love for you to do it both ways, counting the boxes as well as the subtraction, so that you can double check that you're doing it correctly. So please pause the video here, do the on your own problems, and then you may come back and check your answer. So number 1, I'm going to count my boxes first. I'm going from 0, 0 to 5, 2. So vertically I'm going up 1, 2, and horizontally I'm going over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Vertical over horizontal would give me a slope of 2/5. Or if I want to do my subtraction, I could set it up as 2 minus 0 over 5 minus 0, which would give me, again, 2/5. Number 2, I said make sure that you're careful with that vertical change. You're actually going from a 5 to an 8, which is a vertical change of 3. You can't count those boxes because each box does not count as just one unit. Horizontally, it does count as one unit. If you look across your x-axis, you can see it's going from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, so it's counting by ones. So that's a horizontal change of 1. Vertical over horizontal gives me a slope of 3 over 1, or we could simply say a slope of 3. Then using my subtraction, I'm going to do my change in y's, 8 minus 5, over my change in x's, 2 minus 1, double checking that my ordered pairs are sitting on top of each other. 8 minus 5 is 3, 2 minus 1 is 1, again giving me a slope of 3. Alright, so to find the slope of a line, you're either counting your vertical change and your horizontal change, or you're doing your change in y over your change in x, which is a subtraction problem, to get your slope. We're now going to interpret what a slope is. So if you look at example 2, it says the table shows your earnings for babysitting. Graph that data, and then find and interpret the slope of the line through the points. So if I look at this data that I need to graph, oh, sorry, just bring this up. Oh, it's not letting me. I'm going to graph it over here on this line, on this chart. And if I look at the numbers, for x it only goes up to 10, but for y it goes all the way up to 50. So I obviously don't have 50 boxes there. So I have to be careful when I'm labeling my axis to make sure that it's going to fit on the graph provided. So for y, since I have to go up to 50, I'm going to count by 5s, but I'm only going to label every other one so it's not all squished. So this is my origin, my 0. This guy would be 5, which would make this guy 10. So even though I'm not labeling every single one, I am counting by 5s. In between, after 10 would be 15, making this guy 20, 25 to 30, 35 to 40, 45 up to 50 up there. So you don't have to label every single line, but you have to make sure that you did keep it all equidistant. So I counted by 5s by making every line a 5, but I only labeled every other one. Down the bottom for x, I have to go up to 10, which means that I should be able to fit by counting by 1s. But again, I'm going to label every other one. So this first one would be a 1, making the second one a 2, a 3, and then a 4, a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and over here would be 10. So yes, I count it by 1s, but I only labeled every other one so that I don't have my numbers all squished together. So my origin is my first ordered pair here, 0, 0, which we already started there, my origin. My second ordered pair, x is 2 and y is 10. To graph 2, 10, I go over 2 on the x-axis and up to 10 on my y-axis. My second ordered pair, 4, 20, means I'm going right 4 and up 20 and marking my point. The next one, 6, 30. X is 6, I go over 6 on the x-axis. Y is 30, I go up to 30 on my y-axis. Then we have 8, 40. I'm going to go right 8 and up 40. And the last one, 10, 50. And you don't have to write them out like that. I just like to show you that they are ordered pairs even though they're in the table. You're going right 10 and then up to 50. Whenever you go to draw a line, remember you always get your straight edge. And if I look at this and what we learned previously, I've got a straight line that is cutting through the origin. Do you remember what kind of relationship that is? Remember, anytime you have a straight line cutting through the origin, that is a proportional relationship, which means that it would have a unit rate. So every hour, I'm making a certain amount of money when I'm doing this babysitting. So they want us to interpret its slope here. Figure out how steep is this line. So again, I could count on the graph. Maybe I want to go from this guy here to this guy here. So I'm going, remember I counted by 5, so this isn't a change of 2, this would be a change of 5, 10, which makes sense if we're going from 10 to 20. And horizontally, we are counting by 1s. I'm going over 1, 2 boxes. Vertical over horizontal would be 10 over 2, which would give me a slope of 5 over 1, or simply 5. Or if I want to pick 2 ordered pairs, so I'm going to pick, let's say we pick these 2 ordered pairs here. And I'm going to do my change in y over my change in x. Alright, so my y values here are 30 and 40, so let's keep it positive. So I'll do 40 minus 30 over, since I started with 40, I have to start with 8 on my second one. 8 minus 6. 40 minus 30 would give me 10, and 8 minus 6 gives me 2. And 10 over 2 simplifies to 5 over 1, or simply 5. Notice that our answers match. So what does that mean, do you think? If it's changing by 5, our slope, our steepness is changing by 5. Notice here at 1 hour, how much money am I making? What would that point be? Right, it's kind of like a unit rate. What does this mean? My slope of 5 means that I am earning $5 per 1 hour. So every hour that she babysits, she's earning $5. See if you can take a look at the graph on your own problem. And as well as using example 2, you're going to do another pair of ordered pairs in example 2. So don't use the ones that I used. Pick 2 other ones up here. I used 630 and 840. You're going to pick 2 other ones and find the slope in number 3. Then in number 4, you're going to look at a graph of you and your friend earning money babysitting and see if you can answer number 4's question based on the slope. So I'm going to have you pause the video, work on those 3 problems, and then come back and check your answer. So going back to example 2, you might have chose 2 other ones. I'm going to choose 2 other ones as well. Even if I choose 2 different ones than you chose, our answers should still be the same. So I'm going to choose, let's do these 2. 0, 0, and 2, 10. I'm going to bring them down here. So I'm doing 0, 0, and 2, 10. And I'm going to do it using my slope formula. My change in my y's are 0 and 10, so I'm going to do 10 minus 0 to keep it positive. Since I started with 10, I must start with 2. 10 minus 0 is 10, and 2 minus 0 is 2. And notice that again simplifies to 5 over 1, or simply 5, which is what we ended up there. So does the slope change? No. If it's a straight line with a slope, that slope is going to remain as a constant. It's a constant rate of change. Right, so no matter which 2 ordered pairs you choose from that table, if you set up the slope correctly, change in y over change in x's, you will always end up with 5 as your answer. Number 4 says the graph shows the amounts you and your friend earn babysitting. So you are in green and your friend is in blue. Comparing those 2 lines, look at how steep they are. Whose line is steeper? Right? Which hill would you fly down faster at a faster rate? So looking at these 2 lines, if you look at the blue one, that has more of a slant. That is a steeper line. So what does that mean in terms of earning babysitting money? If my friend has a steeper line, that means that my friend earns more money per hour. More money per hour. Remember, I made $5 per hour. She must make more than $5 per hour. So if we look at the per hour, which would be here, you can see where I am versus her. Hers is higher up on that y-axis. She's earning more money per hour. Part B says, find and interpret the slope of the blue line of my friend. So let's go with the 2 ordered pairs that they gave us for my friend. Let's find the change in the y, 56 minus 28, over the change in the x. I started with 56, therefore I must start with 8. 56 minus 28 is 28, and 8 minus 4 is 4. And when I go to simplify, 28 divided by 4 is 7, which means that my friend earns $7, let's say, per hour. All right, per hour or per 1 hour. $7 per hour. All right, so does she earn more than me? Yes. I only earn $5, so she earns $2 more per hour than I do babysitting. All right, so that's all we have for slope today.